Hello and welcome to the Hash Rugby Chat, episode 41. God, we've been doing this for a number of weeks now, haven't we? I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, your best place for rugby opinion and predictions. And tonight we're going to be talking all things international rugby. Well, actually, I'm not. I'm going to drop off and deal with the live chat, and Ashwin's going to take over. So I'll hand you over to Ashwin. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing well. Yes, another wet day in the city today, so yeah, nice to sort of like be home under a waterproof roof. And let's talk some rugby. And as Paul said, he's going to now dash off to the old chat room, so we'll duck in and have a chat to Paul. We'll see what's happening in the chat room as things come up. And joining us today is Herman and Ryan. Herman, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. My only complaint now is my neighbor who plays in a heavy metal band have just starting a rehearsal session. So if it's coming some noise through, you know why. And he's playing
on the wall.
Yeah, but apart from that, I'm good.
Ryan, how's Ryan and the tequila?
Yeah, it's a little bit strong tonight, but hey, we'll see where it takes us.
That's fantastic. Well, look, as we said, we've just had an exciting weekend of international rugby. Something different, obviously, from our regular Super Rugby week in, week out. So, what was everybody's moment of the weekend from international rugby? Ryan, let's lead us off there. What was your moment of the weekend?
I really enjoyed that Springboks England test. Yeah, it was on. I hadn't really planned to watch it, and I was up at the kickoff, and I thought I'll throw a little bit of. I'd backed Springboks, and after 20 minutes, I was thinking, well, this is. I've just donated some money. I'm going to bed, but I had a couple of did it. I think about 3:45, so I kind of stuck to that. And then by the time that came around, the game, I pulled myself away. After that, it was awesome rugby. So,
Herman, what was your moment of the weekend?
I would probably pick Japan, Italy, because I was so surprised because in all regards from quality of the games to quality of the tries, like huge crowd in a big stadium, it looked like a proper tier 1 test. So that was my big takeaway.
Nice. And something a little bit different from the old tier 1 teams playing.
Well, it looked like tier 1.
Yeah.
In all regards.
No, we obviously, for those that didn't tune in to last night's review of the international games of the weekend, Herman highly recommended actually finding the game online and watching it, or at least a highlights package, because it sounds like it was a very good game to actually watch and good high quality rugby. For me, it was just getting some international rugby. I was so looking forward to it. The game that I was looking forward to didn't live up to the heights that we were expecting it to, and I missed out on the one that I should have seen, which was the South Africa-England game. But in general, just was so looking forward to seeing some international rugby. I think it didn't let us down basically over the 4 games of let's call them the Super Rugby team countries versus the Northern Hemisphere countries, and then obviously throw in a few like Japan and Italy and the like, and plenty of international rugby to see, and it was great to see. Paul, anybody in the with some views in the old chat room there on their moments of the weekend?
A lot of people talking about South Africa and England, obviously. Also, Jack thought the All Blacks game was good, and I guess one of my moments of the weekend was from that game where it was good to see a referee turning around and telling Aaron Smith to shut up, and also telling Sam Whitelock that it wasn't up to him how quickly they got to the next scrum. But so him taking control of the game, I enjoyed. I guess the other thing actually I enjoyed from this was getting away from the negativity we see around Super Rugby. And I saw it again today, and we'll talk about it later. But it was just nice to have positivity until obviously after the game, and then everyone's going, well, why wasn't it a red card? So that's one of my bad moments of the weekend is all of the stuff that's happened afterwards. Everyone going, it must be a red card, and slowing things down, doing narrow shots and silly clicks and. Yeah, just the big. Why can't we focus on the positive things of the rugby rather than always focusing on the negatives? That's my gripe.
Interesting, you mentioned the Aaron Smith. So it was a weekend where halfbacks got told off because I think was it Conor Murray that was actually playing halfback for Ireland? Or
Yes.
He also got marched 10 from a scrum only, I think it was only a scrum, but decided to have a conversation with the referee, which he didn't appreciate, and got marched 10 as well. So yeah, the referee starting to fight back towards the yappy halfbacks.
Revenge of the refs. Is this what this is?
Yeah. So moving on to our second point then, is obviously leading into the international weekend, let's put it that way. Expectations were high for the Northern Hemisphere teams, how they were going to perform. Didn't transpire that way, and really, I mean, if we look, basically Wales the only one sort of overcoming a Southern Hemisphere opposition. Were we premature in thinking that the gap was closing, or has it closed? Let Herman text us on first, shall we?
Yeah, go Herman.
Go.
Should I go first? Okay. No, I mean, come on. It's 1 weekend, one round of games, and yes, obviously All Blacks France became a blowout, but that could probably been a closer score if with some other refereeing decisions there. But an All Blacks win was always in the cards, and the other games where we expected more even contests. I mean, Australia against Ireland was very, very even, and it was not the first selection Ireland. And also, I mean, as you spoke about yesterday, to call out that the English rugby is dead, they lost by 3 points. It's so no, I think it's way too early to make that call.
Brian, your 10 cents worth.
Yeah, well, I thought there were a few signs that England weren't going to be, a favourite going into South Africa. They didn't have a good Six Nations. The Barbarians ripped apart what was granted a B England side, but there were cracks there showing. And the thing that I thought about England's performance on the weekend was that the Springboks exposed them in the same areas that the Barbarians did, playing fast, playing up tempo, playing with will. That's where they. Ireland were the big disappointment for me from the weekend, but yeah, it's one they didn't have full strength side. They had a number of those guys come off the bench and didn't really make any impact, which sometimes you guys aren't suited to coming off the bench. And they were the big disappointment, though. They lacked creativity. They had plenty of ball, but they just didn't do anything to break Australia down. The side, I guess, that probably surprised me with how well they went was a game we didn't get on TV here in New Zealand. That was Scotland. By all accounts, went really well in disposing of Canada, who aren't a superpower by any means, but they're probably the one Northern Hemisphere side that's really on the up and up, and it's probably a little bit of a shame that they're playing Tier 2 nations in this break. Would have been good to see them maybe getting a crack against Australia or someone else.
Yeah, but I think Wales also, they have beaten 2 Southern Hemispheres team in a row here, so I mean, we can't just forget about that. And they certainly don't have an A side either, Wales. They're definitely like one of the weakest Wales side ever. So coming back to
coming up against a pretty cohesive Argentinian side, going from the Jaguares jersey to the blue and white strip. So yeah, they did very well defensively. Basically shut Argentina down defensively, didn't they?
They did. I mean, but also, I mean, am I ruining the debate a little bit here? Because I find it funny, this debate, that you should compare like the Northern Hemisphere with the Southern Hemisphere. I mean, for me, first of all, when I look at it, it's New Zealand and the rest. That's where you start, and to anyway, like align South Africa and Australia and Argentina's result and New Zealand result it's not fair at all, I think.
Yeah, no, look, it's something that's come about, I think, started with the Rugby Championship when there was just the 3, and it sort of evolved out of that, as the over here, obviously it's our winter window, and then obviously when the Southern Hemisphere teams go up for the autumn internationals, it's something that's sort of evolved over the last sort of, I suppose, 10, 15 years, is that Southern Hemisphere versus Northern Hemisphere seasons, so to speak, or series of games. Yeah. And I think that's what actually led to it. But you're right. I mean, at the end of that, it's a bit cliched. It is a bit cliched. and but it's something that's come about because of the way that the competitions roll, I think.
I get it. But to me, last, I don't know how many years back we're going to put it, but basically, I mean, because there's so little between team number 2 to number 8, 9 on the world ranking, they can basically beat each other anytime, anywhere. You know, it's only New Zealand that's you have to have like a peak performance against them. They probably have an off day to beat them, but there's so little between them. So it's like, and one test, and we all know like there are a million little things that can go right and go wrong in a test match, you know, and all of a sudden we're going to make this huge decision, oh, this shows strength for this hemisphere, you know, like after one round of game, it's like, no, we need more.
And you need,
if we went to this university, you know, look at our study here, they would laugh at us, you know.
And you need the rub of the green of the decisions to go your way, eh?
Sometimes.
Look, yeah, just coming back to Ireland, and I suppose, you know, jumping ahead a bit, but well, I'm guessing that they'll select the likes of oh god, mine's got Johnny Sexton, Tad Furlong, etc. will be starting this week, so we should see a difference there, I guess, from the Irish team, or are we sort of like, you know, looking back to last week as well as chucking a bit of the Ireland-France game in, where their attack still seems to struggle. They get the ball, they got good ball control, but just that attack doesn't seem to have that venom in it. Or what are we expecting out of it? Do we think there will be a change? Ryan, have a chat.
I think there's definitely going to be a change to their side, and I think we'll see something closer to, you know, the full strength of what they've got available. But yeah, I've got real concerns that it's not so much a quality thing from the weekend, that it's just a style thing, that they've gone into this mode of we're just going to grind out games, we're going to, you know, look after the ball. But these, you know, come up against a quality defensive side, and you need more than that to break a team down. And people have said going into last week that Australia are a quality defensive side? Probably not, but I'm sort of through them instead of creating space, you know, either through offloading or trying to play with a bit more width.
Hey Ryan, I think mine needs to drop off and come back again. You're cutting out quite a bit.
Okay.
Or is somebody downloading something in the flat?
Yeah.
Quite possible.
But I expect.
Yep,
yeah, I have two thoughts about the upcoming Ireland-Australia game. I expect a stronger Ireland side. They're going to go for the first selection, and it usually make difference when you have like your world-class fly half coming back instead of having a debutant there. That usually make a huge difference. And I also have this sneaky feeling, like, remember last year that when the Springboks came up for like one game against the All Blacks, and it reminded me quite a lot how Australia, like every player put their body on the line for the full 80 minutes. And I'm not certain if Australia can do that for another week. Can we really fire themselves up? Because now we were questioned, we were doubted, everything, you know, they really were fired up for this one. Now I have showed their hand. Ireland going to be prepared for them, but can you reckon Australia can be that fired up again?
Look, I think a lot of it will come down to, I think one of the big factors in Australia's success with their forward pack, obviously with 6 on the bench as well, but the Pocock-Hooper combination really worked for them. What they were, I think, were able to do, and maybe Hooper didn't necessarily get the turnovers, but he was still disruptive and therefore slowing the ball down, which gives Pocock a chance to get back on his feet and really attack those rucks, and he was a pest and a menace for Ireland at those rucks. And you know, it really, when we look at, obviously Australia does struggle for world-class players across their squad, but they've got 2 in Pocock and Hooper, and I think they were really disruptive. If they can get up, put a performance in like they did last week, I think Australia's got another good shot. But the thing, that concern that I've still got with Australia is their backline. I don't think the selections seem right. Karevi, as we've discussed, he does seem a defensive liability in the backline. That's the thing that concerns me. But look, we talked about it last night. So again, go back and see the show or listen to the show if you haven't. But one thing you got to be careful with those Aussies. You give them confidence, and they would have got a lot of confidence out of the weekend, and that'll count a lot for them as well. So there's two factors: Pocock Hooper and the confidence building. I think it'll be a ding-dong battle between Ireland and Australia this weekend.
What will be changed in Ireland for sure is they didn't play Dan Levy, who is the other young upcoming star who plays 7. And I'm really looking forward to see him go at it with Pocock, because he looks, I mean, even if Ireland lost, I think all of us were really impressed with James Ryan, who came down here with a huge reputation. He delivered right away. And Dan Levy has been just as good this season too. So Ireland have something in their back pocket to counter Pocock, and we'll see if he's good enough.
Yeah, Ryan, now that you're back on, we'll test out your video and sound and see how you go.
Am I here? Have you got me?
We got you. Come on in.
Yeah, I thought, on your point about Hooper and Pocock, I thought really the difference in the end in that game was that there were 4 world-class guys with a bit of X-factor about them for the Wallabies, and that was the 2 you mentioned, and then Beale and Folau. And I think when you look across...
Nah, bugger.
Yeah. Dear old Ryan.
Game to those 4 that stepped up.
Unfortunately, Ryan, somebody's downloading a big file and you're flat there, and you're still breaking up.
All good. I'll cut it for the night.
No, but just to sort of go back to what Ryan was obviously going to be referring to, is that something Folau and Beale. Beale was a bit of a magician. I thought he was the one that was getting that backline going or getting the momentum on the backline happening, and obviously Folau with his aerial skills. It's actually, it's one of the great things in international rugby is seeing Folau's aerial skills. He is the best in the game at that.
Yeah, but the worrying thing from an All Blacks perspective is what some of the things he do is pretty much undefendable. You can't defend against it because no one's going to beat him in the air. No one.
I think I was alluding to is you've got truckload of good players in the air. You can go with your Ben Smiths. I've forgotten the Irish wing's name, the young fella that was on the wing on the weekend. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, and you've got Watson for the English. They're good in the air, but the way they take the ball is not the way that Israel Folau takes it. He takes it AFL style with the hands above the head. You can't beat that. Your hands around your chest, and his hands are above his head.
He would dominate in AFL too with those aerial skills.
He played.
Yeah, but
and that's where he's learnt his aerial skills from.
Yep.
So I'm going to step back into the chatting now that Ryan's gone on to the
yeah. Oh, Paul, get back to the chat room.
Come on.
Me and Ash gonna have a tete-a-tete here,
No, we can't. We agree too often.
So yeah, and the comments in the chat room are pretty similar around it being too early to tell and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's all good.
No, look, it's really. I think it's what Herman was saying. It's really, at the end of the day, you've got the All Blacks at the top. There's about a 5-point difference in the ratings, however that's done. Some Deloitte's or Ernst & Young calculation. And basically then you've got from number 2 to number 8, and on their day, anyone can beat anybody. And we saw that with Six Nations. Sorry, Paul, to hurt you, but Scotland beating England, for example, and so you're right there. And it's just a bit of banter, I think, that comes out with that Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere challenge. But at the end of the day, it's whoever's on the game on the day will win the game.
Yeah, it's something that comes out quite often in the November tours, where they actually sort of run a little mini table as to the wins and losses with the Rugby Championship teams against the Six Nation teams, often in that window. And obviously, with them playing different teams each weekend, it makes more sense during the November window that it's more of an even thing. But whereas this window, where you have 3 games against the same people, it's a bit different as well.
Yeah.
Yep. One thing that might have come out of last weekend, though, I don't know, just the sort of 30% chance that I might actually make the effort to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch the South Africa-England second test. It's very minimal. I mean, it will depend on what happens on Saturday night. But yeah, look, I mean, as I said, with the game that they played last weekend, it was, as I said, the game of the round in terms of what you want to call it. And that's what you want to watch. That's what we watch rugby for, especially when you're neutral and you got no investment in the game, and you can just watch it for the enjoyment of it without being stressed out while you're sitting there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
You want to say something, Paul?
No, I was only going to say, actually, this weekend we'll be doing post-match reaction to the All Blacks versus France. I mean, that'll be the only one we'll do this weekend because of other family commitments, unless someone else is going to host those chats. But that's the only one we'll do this weekend.
Sweet. Alrighty then, moving on to our topic number 3 for the night. Obviously, Carl oh God, I had this down, I've been practicing it, and now I can't get it out under pressure. Carl, coming...
Big Carl.
Big Carl.
The big K.
We need Ryan back. Ryan's pronunciation is top notch.
Top notch. Yeah, absolutely. But, look, we've seen him come. He wasn't even in a Super Rugby squad. He's coming through injury, and not just like the first cab off the rank. He used many cabs down off the rank. He was at the back of the rank. He wasn't on the rank.
He was an Uber driver. Oh, sorry.
He was an Uber driver. He wasn't allowed on the rank. He's come through. He's played a few minutes for the Chief. Oh, this guy's not bad. Let's start him. Oh, he's going really well. And the All Black selectors look at. Next thing you know, he's coming off the bench for the All Blacks. Are we missing out on many more players like Big Carl? And personally, I'm going to say yes. What do you guys reckon?
You go first, Paul, because my experience from New Zealand club rugby is very limited.
Well, this isn't actually a New Zealand question. This one is something I was going to talk about on a Patreon-only show probably about a month ago. I didn't get around to it because when Hugh Jones, who is now playing for Scotland as a centre and he apparently didn't even make his first 15 team at school, and so at schoolboy level he was considered not good enough for that level, and he only developed later on he went down to South Africa. Played some university rugby, got through into Super Rugby, and then got noticed and up that way. So there was a guy who again was another late developer that's come through. In England, you do have that professional, semi-professional level beneath the Viewer Premiership in the Rugby Championship, where there is at least some space for players to grow. But again, there we're seeing a lot of these academy products are basically coming through to the rugby, the Premiership teams, and they're not looking at those other guys. The latest developers are struggling to find a place to learn and grow. So I don't think it's just a New Zealand thing. I think it happens elsewhere as well.
No, you're right. You're right, Paul. I want to add too, but when coming to think about it, the new South African left winger Jantis, also one who got rejected before it was time to take the big step up and choose to go to university, and he'd been in university for 4 years. Now came back, play Super Rugby, and within 6 months he's a starter for the Springboks. So it's another good case for that. Yeah,
and Jack says here there's good we have such good depth, and it comes through Mitre 10 Cup, Super Rugby, and then the All Blacks. Now, one of the things that Ashwin will know about is that when we're talking about Auckland's Mitre 10 Cup team, one of the big issues that's going on there, the battles, is that players are coming straight from the academy and schoolboy rugby into Mitre 10, and they're not having to play club rugby. And that's become a big bone of contention for the club rugby players. And they're saying these guys just don't have the battle-hardened and the proper experience to play at this level. It's all theoretical. Yeah. It's not actually learnt on the pitch.
Look, there's the Auckland rugby is such a complex thing, and it's. I mean, obviously we've talked about the issues with Auckland rugby, and these are the sorts of things that cause it problems. Is that you've got all these top class players coming through at secondary schools levels where they're getting picked up. And if Auckland Rugby doesn't jump on them, then obviously other unions and that will. So it's a really double-edged sword type scenario where Auckland Rugby has to grab these young players. If they grab those young players, then they have to play them in the NPC squad. which means that the NPC squad doesn't do well because it hasn't got the experience. The biggest impact that is in the Type 5 in particular. You can't expect schoolboy kids coming out of, or Colts players coming in and fighting it up hard with those grizzled old veterans from the Naki where Paul lives now. You need to spend time in club rugby and battle it out, learn that skill set, and they don't get that. And ironically, you've got those guys that are in club rugby, they don't get a look in because all the young academy players are getting signed up. So, yeah, it's a difficult one. And you look at someone like a big Carl, he effectively was lost to the game, until his doctor told him, you better go do something physical, otherwise you're going to die. And that he thought, ooh, I've got children, I don't want to do that, I better do something about it. And out of that, he started playing rugby again. I think he played overseas first, in fact, and then North Harbour picked him up. And yeah, so that's what happened.
Well, this is the thing, is it?
Yeah, the guys were out there.
Carl basically had the option of going to Weight Watchers or playing rugby. Ryan makes
those low-calorie meals are good, but look, there's lots of players out there.
Really interesting point. He goes and says that there's an argument that the number of brothers in the All Blacks side and the number that have brothers in Super/Mitre 10 Cup teams is an example of preferential selections rather than freak genetics. I.e., if you've got the right name, you kind of get selected by schoolboy rugby, therefore you get the exposure at schoolboy, therefore you get the exposure and get you selected again. The number of times that actually opportunity is seen as being the sort of the big thing that makes or breaks a player's career, and if the right person gets injured ahead of you, you suddenly have the opportunity and off you go. Whereas if that person doesn't get injured, you don't get the opportunity, you don't. Whereas these guys get a bit of a leg up in that sense.
Oh, look, to pinch a CGW term, you definitely. Look, it's a lot of it comes down to being in front of the right people at the right time. There's a lot of luck involved in making it through, and obviously, if you've got a famous name, it helps a hell of a lot in your progress through the club teams, age grade teams in your club, through to representative levels and the like. This is like, there's another Barrett you might want to go check out that's playing down there in the under 12s, and this is like, who's not going to go check him out? There's a Barrett. Yeah.
I think surely there are a lot of siblings or children to famous players who can tell the complete different side of that story too. But the huge expectation you get. Imagine if Richie McCaw get a son and he plays rugby. My God, if he's not good, his life's going to be a nightmare.
Well, actually, one on that. There's a fantastic one. So LeBron James has come out. I think it was today or yesterday, and said about his son. He said, "Oh yeah, my greatest dream is playing on the same NBA court as my son." You're like, well, no pressure there, son.
Under some not too nice circumstances, had a chance to catch up with a family friend that I haven't seen for a very long time. Lives down Hamilton way, and Carlos Spencer's son sort of goes to, I think it was Hamilton Boys down that way, and basically he's just saying, every sport that he touches, he's basically just brilliant at. He actually even plays hockey apparently, so he's playing cricket, rugby, hockey, anything he tries, he's brilliant at. So you're right, Herman. There's a lot of expectation comes with being the sibling, or not sibling, sorry, the child of a previous star.
But there's also an element of that. It's easy to be the best at schoolboy level. Relatively speaking. I used to play. I played cricket against Liam Botham. So. Beefy Botham's son, way back when.
Make it.
Pardon?
How come you didn't?
How come I didn't make it? Well, yes. I used to bat at 11. I used to bat at 11 and not bowl, field at long legs. So that gives you an idea. So I made up the numbers as far as cricket was concerned. It didn't help that I didn't actually realise I needed glasses until I got 17 and was driving. So anyway, well, yes, my entire cricket career was ruined because my parents couldn't get me an eye test. So, but. Coming back to
where's the violin music when you need it?
That is so painful. And there was another great a story I heard about. Again, a high school star in basketball got invited by Michael Jordan to a camp he was running. Made the silly mistake of telling Michael Jordan, "You can't guard me," at which point he absolutely thumped and shown exactly where his position was in the world. And he made it to the NBA, but peaced out after a couple of seasons. So okay, you can. So Carlos Spencer's son is saying, yes, he will have some natural ability at sports, but it's going to come down to, does he have the attitude and the aptitude to take it to that next level, to be like his dad, or has the fact that he's been in a situation where he's had an affluent upbringing, he's got to have had. I mean, Carlos Spencer can't be missing the odd buck or two, can he? And so, has he had to strive, and does he have the drive inside him to actually be the best? Who knows?
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to use my favorite quote, and I'm actually the one who came up with this quote. You can use it on any sport, really. I would say we're probably 1,000 players around the world who have like the natural abilities and talents to be among the 20 best rugby players in the world. There are probably 1,000 players, but there are only 20 players who have a head to be among the 20 best players in the world, and those are the 20 best players in the world.
Oh no, I disagree with that. I think it's probably 1,000 players that have got the right head as well. But the problem is they're not the same 1,000 players that have got the right body. And so
are you trying to tell us that you have a head to be world class rugby player here, Paul?
No, not
me.
No,
he's talking about me. He's talking about me. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
There are business leaders and that kind of thing who push themselves and strive and stuff, but they don't have the bodies to be sportsmen. So I think there probably are the same number, but it's about having that combination of the two. It's a bit like one of the things when. Steve Adams, the Kiwi that's playing basketball in the NBA, and they were like, "Oh yes, there's going to be this flood of New Zealanders going off to play basketball." And the answer was no. He's part of physically. There's only 1% of the population that has the body that he has, or even, and so actually New Zealand has such a small, with only 4 million people. There's only a tiny number. So maybe it was less than 1% anyway, that are big enough to play professional basketball, really. But I'm sure there's got to be other people with a correct drive.
You're taking the one sport where requires extreme physics more than any other sport in the world. This is basketball. If you take this to any other sports where you can have a little bit more like tennis or soccer, like really big world sports, but it doesn't really matter that much if you're big or small. Then you will definitely see it's all about head. Who reaches the top and who doesn't reach the top.
Look, bringing it back to the in terms of undiscovered talent, sort of at sort of club level and the like, you can also go back and with Auckland's the fantastic example of this, where they're players that just don't get discovered, and then they might go play club rugby somewhere else, and all of a sudden they'll end up signing a contract with the Super Rugby side. And unfortunately, as was alluded to, Ryan's not with us, and he'll be able to pronounce his name right about. But Dylan Halanuku, who went and played down for the Highlanders, he was a prop who was originally from Auckland, and he's had a good career with and good couple of seasons there with the Highlanders. And again, he never even. Nobody really talked to him. There would be the guys that go to the club rugby, stand on the sidelines and say, hey, this guy is who the Blues need to look at. But no one from the Blues is there looking at him. But the whisper gets out maybe down country and saying, oh, have a look at this guy. And they will. All because of academies and under-20s and age grade rep teams and that, where the players are coming through and they're the ones that are identified. They're the ones that are going to be signed up on the Super Rugby contract. Whereas a late bloomer misses out and possibly either gets picked up by somebody outside the region or never get picked up at all. So I think there's a lot of Carls out there that could be getting missed.
For sure.
And Ryan has typed the player's name that you're talking about in the chat. I'm not even going to attempt because I would butcher it. Sorry. I need to go off and have and find someone to teach me how to say his names because I'm sure it sounds wonderful. A couple of years ago now, or was it a year ago now? Must be a year ago actually. Sorry, Andre and I took a drive up to the where did we go? I've gone blank. Northland. Where do they play?
Hull Stadium, Whangarei.
Whangarei. There we go. Took a trial to Whangarei, and I got to interview the assistant coach there. And one of the issues they had was that players also would go down to Auckland for high school rugby because it's perceived that you have a greater chance of making it as it's professional rugby if you're playing high school rugby in Auckland, not North Shore, but actually Auckland itself. Because there are some top rugby schools there, and by playing for those,
Jack, could you?
Jack, could you? If you're playing one of those, not only are you going to be is there going to be a professional scout come watch you, but you're on TV. Whereas the high school rugby up in Northland is not put on TV. So you're not going to get that exposure, the potential sightings.
Look, it's not only even that, Paul. It's the fact is that the resources. Northland's not obviously a well-off union. The schools up there aren't well-off union. I mean, like if one of the big conversational points in New Zealand outside of rugby is the economic state of Northland region, and there's not a lot of money up there. So the schools, the rugby unions, the rugby clubs, they don't have the resources that the schools in particular down in Auckland. So Auckland schools are actually probably better funded than Auckland rugby. And they've got the coaching, they've got all the flash gear. And so, you can see for the development of your own game, there are benefits in relocating to one of these strong schools. You're saying Kendigans, your Mags, Mount Albert Grammar School, your Auckland Grammar School, where they've lots of money. You go to Christchurch, your Christ College, and the likes, who've got good resources, so it's a great place to go to further your rugby schooling, and it's not great for the regions who lose those players.
No, it's not. And again, another game I went and saw with you was we went to it was a warm up game for a Mitre 10 Cup game by Auckland, and it was a high school game, and they only open up one stand. It's the North Stand, isn't it? They open up for.
North Stand, yep.
And the North Stand was pretty much full. The bottom tier at least was, which is the bit they open for the high school game. And then as soon as the high school game finished, they all left and didn't bother staying around for the Mitre 10 Cup game, which was about and a few other people arrived, admittedly, but it was probably about a quarter as full for the Mitre 10 Cup game. So it's one of those funny things that you might get more exposure playing actually high school rugby than you will at some of the Mitre 10 Cup games.
Absolutely. Look, and so basically in summation, there's plenty of cows out there that are going undiscovered, and I think that people have to start to realise that you're actually a good rugby coach if you can identify talent that is that needs exposure. It's easy to be a coach and coach players that are already developed. It's to be able to go in there and saying, hang on, that kid's got something that isn't been tapped yet, and I can get that potential out of them.
So watch out if the players come out of Arswin's rugby club that he's coaching at the moment.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that. This is like the kids coming. This is like, did we win? This is like, hey kids, you're under sevens. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose. It's that you keep getting better and you learn the skills. That's what it's about. And it's just like, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. Oh, did we win? Yeah, you won. Right. Well, and because we've already wrapped up 2018 Super Rugby season, with the Crusaders getting another title, they've released the draw for 2019, which obviously is a World Cup year, and so we're going with the same format: 3 conferences. You play everybody in your own conference, home and away, and then you play a few other games with the other conferences.
And let's be clear, that's not really news. We got told that last year that it would be the same format until the end of the contract. And so anyone who's on Twitter, and this is my rant here, anyone on Twitter who's saying that, we've still got conferences, we've still got 18 playoffs. Yep, you know what? You knew that already. That's not news. Actually, how about concentrating on the news that we've heard today, rather than just rather than getting your baseball bat out and smashing it again.
And that's not going to change until they actually come to the renewal of the Sanzar agreement.
So we're going to have 2020 going to be the same. 2021 is the earliest we're going to see any changes.
Yeah. 2021 will be the first changes. So we've got the same format. We've got no international breaks. We'll be starting a week earlier. I think it's about 15th of February, sorry. February, that I believe I read that the first weekend of rugby will be, obviously to make sure we get it all finished before the World Cup. No international break. There will be no June window of test matches against the Northern Hemisphere teams, so we won't be able to discuss who's better, Southern Hemisphere or Northern Hemisphere. And
apart
soon
from
enough,
the World Cup.
Oh, snap. and so, as I said, there will be no breaks. There will be going on there. And there'll be no breaks after tours for some of the teams either, which has sort of been happening a bit more this year. So, going through our notes here that Paul's put together for us brilliantly, is we go through the after the tours, we're looking at the Blues. Nope, they won't have a tour. They're straight into the Sunwolves, and then they have a break.
I wouldn't run through all these. I was there for us to reference the part of our discussion. That's not to go through.
Long time,
yeah, don't go through that bit.
No, but we can look at. I think we can point out some of the teams who are, but it looks like have benefited, and some teams that looks a little bit more hard done. You know, it's
let's
one takeaway. Sorry, yeah. Paul.
Let's actually first. Let's talk about the good thing. The really good thing is there is no June break. That is fantastic. It's wonderful. Yay! Everybody cheer.
We knew that already. That's always in the World Cup years. That's no news.
Well, I'm going to make it news because it's a good thing to talk about.
But you have to agree with Paul as the fact is that there is no gap, which has always been a weird feature of Super Rugby.
But never in a World Cup year, so let's move on.
Never in a World Cup year. Yeah, absolutely. So it's good to have that. It's good that we've got a World Cup year, so we've got no gap.
Yeah.
So, other good features of the of the format for next year, or it benefits for some teams.
Well, I think it's also good we haven't got one of these silly solo just South Africa rounds, or just it's proper rounds all the way through. They all start at the same time. They all finish at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, one takeaway: we start this season 1 week earlier, and then manage to finish it on the 3rd of June. Is it so hard to do this every year? Did they even have to move the June window to July? Couldn't they? I mean, how hard could it be?
No, this finishes the 25th of February through to the 6th of July. 6th of July is when the season finishes next year.
Is it 6th of July it finished?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it finished like in mid-June already.
No.
Sorry, my mistake. Okay. But you want to go through, I see, I've been looking through it, and I've been seeing some winners and losers in the schedule.
Go for it.
And, all right, like the winner, and it's a little bit annoying because if you look at one takeaway is the Crusaders. They have a bye week in the last round. Like, it's pretty reasonable to think that Crusaders going to be qualified for a playoff for a home quarterfinal. And what are they going to do? They're going to get a rest week before the other team comes down to Christchurch. You know, it seems like that's not a favor Crusaders really need.
Here's another factor. Last time in the World Cup year, like this year, we've had mandated from the All Blacks or the NZRFU 2 rests. The All Black players have to be rested for 2 games. Look out for 4 games next year. I'd suggest. All Black players will need to be rested for 4 games in the Super Rugby competition.
Is this something you know, or just something you assume?
No, I assume because I'm pretty sure there was more than 2 games that they were rested for in the 2015 World Cup year. There was pretty, or they either that or there was something.
In 2007, they did the shocking mistake when they rested the All Blacks for half a season. But they're never going to try that again.
What's that? Went so well. But, yeah, look, it's gut feel. It's a gut feel because the other thing is that you look at the intensity. The intensity level's gone up since 2015 in terms of the rugby play. So I just got a gut feel that when you're looking at a non-World Cup year and they ask for stand down of 2 games, you don't expect them to ask for more next year.
I think what will happen is that they will, because the cause it's starting earlier, and you've still got to have that 12 weeks between finishing the All Blacks games and starting it and that 12-week break that all Blacks have to have. I think they will miss the start of the season at a guess, because I don't think they'll have finished the All Blacks tours in time to get the players back in time.
Yeah. And then obviously there will be a half round of Rugby Championship as well at the end afterwards, before the World Cup.
But if you look at the schedule, like one thing I took away right away, but I thought like there are a couple of things that makes me a little bit upset about it. It's obviously it's a 15 team, but there's always one team that needs to have a bye, and most team doesn't like to have a bye in the first round, but there's pretty obvious there's one team that would do great with a bye in the first round because they have shorter preparation time than all the other teams, and that's the Sunwolves. But do they give the Sunwolves a bye in the first round? No. Instead,
they are
make
changing.
The Sunwolves go to home.
They are changing the.
Yeah, but we're still going to have a shorter preparation. They're still going to have a shorter preparation time. They're just going to get more, but they're still going to be short. For sure, Sunwolves could benefit from an extra week. They're the only team that really could benefit for it, but they don't give it to them. And to top it up, Sunwolves going to play at home. They're debuting in the first round, but they're going to play that game in either Singapore and Hong Kong, which is also like, what are we doing? I'm getting really, really disappointed with Suns are doing this. I mean, they want to grow the game in Japan, but really, do you really want to do it?
Give them a chance. Make it fair. Give them a level playing field.
So, are you guessing that game's in Singapore or Hong Kong? Because they've not announced venues yet. Are you guessing? Okay.
No, but you can. No. I'm not guessing. I'm doing solid research, Paul, when I'm doing my stuff. No, you can see it on the Sunwolves website. You can see the prefix against for the first home game and for the fourth home game. The prefix that's shown will be played outside Japan.
Oh, okay. I hadn't noticed that.
We touched it. I don't know. We touched it maybe before we starting the show, but we have done like Sunwolves a small favor because it seems like Sanford had got out of a way to try to make Sunwolves get a win in New Zealand, because the Blues start at home against Crusader, which is the toughest possibly home opening. Then they go to South Africa and play, I think, the Sharks.
Yep.
And then have to play the Jaguars, and then right back home to Auckland to play the Sunwolves. It seems like, okay, we're gonna give Sunwolves that win in New Zealand. We're gonna give it. Because you cannot.
Herman, do I buy a season ticket next year?
Of course you do. But you just realise that you're going to lose every single game.
The donation.
Yeah, man, imagine like a new season with the Blues, then starting up with 3 straight losses and Sunwolves, and then maybe losing that one too. Like, but then that's what's waiting for you, boys. And other thing I saw in the schedule
right now,
when I looked through it, is I think it is the Bulls play the first 14 rounds in South Africa. And actually, no, they play Jaguars away in the second round. But until then, they don't tour until the week 14. So they go to Argentina in week 2, but apart from that, the other 13 round in the beginning, they are in South Africa. So that could possibly help them.
Well, they'll need to have got their points early doors, because they will lose 4 of their last 5 games. They will lose. The Bulls do not tour well historically.
No, that's true.
They used to. Interestingly enough, they used to. They didn't go too badly when they used to tour, but it's a long time ago.
There's another team that starts with a B also that used to be good at touring. What's the name? B in the beginning. From Blue Jersey too, also a Blue Jersey.
Yeah. There's a mute button here somewhere.
But yeah, the Bulls historically have not been great tourists. The Highlanders, I noticed, seem to get their. I think they get all of their New Zealand derbies out the way by about round 12, I think it is. So they should be finishing with a bit of a wet sail.
Yeah, I mean it's excellent. I didn't have that in my mind when I was watching the schedule, but maybe you have it in front of you now, Paul. Like, because it's probably makes sense that the Kiwi teams aren't going to have their All Blacks for the first 2 rounds. So who's getting the advantage there, playing easy teams, and who are gonna? I mean, playing like Waratahs away without your All Blacks could probably be a tough, big ask.
Well, Blues obviously get the Crusaders, which is obviously good because the Crusaders will have a lot of All Blacks, but the Blues won't. They'll only lose to Rico and Akiri. Everyone else, again, because the All Blacks only pick brothers, because brothers get preferential treatment. Maybe it's a bit like when you have kids and they go to school and when you put them in after school care, the second one gets 15% off. Maybe it's a bit like that. Maybe it's cheaper for the All Blacks to pay for two of them.
You can pass on the equipment, that's for sure.
There you go, hand-me-downs All Black jerseys. So, round one, Chiefs versus Highlanders. So that's going to be a good one. Waratahs hosting the Hurricanes, as you said, away at the Hurricanes.
So that's exactly, Hurricanes.
And the Blues
so
versus
Hurricane doesn't get a favour there for sure.
And then in round two, the Highlanders host the Reds, which will be good for them. The Crusaders host the Hurricanes. The Brumbies host the Chiefs, so again that's a hard one for the Chiefs, and the Sharks host the Blues. And you've got to say if the Blues haven't got their All Blacks the first two rounds, they're not going to fly. They're not going to fly, all two of them, yes. They're not going to fly them out to Argentina for one game and then back again. So the Blues will also probably be missing their All Blacks for round three for against Jaguares. It just wouldn't make sense to fly them all the way there and back again for one game.
And also, it's a big difference I haven't seen, because Jaguares have started all the three previous seasons with 2 away games in South Africa. This year we start with 3 home games, so that's like a clear difference they made. I don't know why they rethink that one. Maybe they want to give the Jaguares a flying start to the season.
Yep, or make them play those games when they're not when they're not already up to speed, and therefore lose their home games. Swings and roundabouts. In the chat, Jack's asking, are the Blues going to take any games away from Eden Park? We say the venues haven't been announced yet. We don't know. I would hope so.
We've talked about this. I think a few episodes ago. So Highlanders need to take games to Southland. Blues need to take games to Whangarei, not Albany.
But we know that's not going to happen.
Take games to Nelson.
The Blues may take a pre-season game up to Whangarei, but they won't take a real game.
No. What we're talking about is what should happen, what doesn't, not what does actually happen. And it's just crazy. It's crazy. So yes. Well, we'll wait and see. As said to Jack, is that if this year's any sign, there was no games taken away from Eden Park this year. Don't know what the logic behind that was. So if they follow suit, then basically next year all games will be at Eden Park. But it is wait and see what happens.
You got to mention that too also, but again about the Sun Wolves, but because they are forced to play 2 games outside Japan. But I was chatting with a Japanese fan, rugby fan on Facebook, and his suggestion was if you're gonna take 2 games away from the home field in Tokyo, especially in the World Cup here, why don't you take them to some other venues in Japan instead?
Absolutely.
Which I thought made total sense, if you want to spread the gospel. So,
well, logic would be that why would they take 2 games outside of Japan at all? They should just play all their games
in a World Cup year.
But any year even, it's just like Japan's a big country and there's lots of stadiums there. I don't. Yeah. Why is the Sunwolves? Is the Sunwolves a team there to be a real team as part of a competition, or are they just a promotional vehicle for World Rugby or Sansa?
No, I agree. I mean, it's beyond stupid that you take the weakest team in competition. That's the team you're forced to play 2 away games a year, 2 games from home. Suppose home games away. It's some of because the game when we play in Hong Kong against the Storm, it's because it was a cracker of a game with a drop goal finish and everyone, it's such a success. But there was a 5,000 people maybe in the crowd there. And then you see when Sunwolves play home in Tokyo, they usually have over 20,000. It's a great atmosphere and everything. I mean, if that game would have played in Tokyo, then it would have been legendary stuff.
And the screaming. You gotta love the screaming. Actually, I thought is that what they should do is that say, okay, the 2 teams that make the final of Super Rugby must play 1 game each outside of their outside of the country, because you're taking your top team. And it's like, makes sense because you want the top teams to go and promote your game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I used as argument when I was speaking about when we want to take Super Rugby to Hong Kong. You don't take, if you want to promote Super Rugby in Hong Kong, you take Crusaders and Hurricane and put on a real show. Then you can probably get a decent crowd.
A lot of promotion around.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I've just been going through the schedule trying to figure out which game might go to the Pacific Islands this time round.
Henry would be?
Well, I'm thinking maybe the Chiefs Crusaders on the 1st of June, because they've done that one before. The Chiefs quite often take one up there.
But hasn't Chiefs been vocal that they're not going to do it because they don't want to give away home advantage anymore? The Chiefs has already done it twice. I think they was pretty clear.
Did it this year, or doing it this year?
The Highlanders are doing it this year against the Chiefs, I think it is.
But it's a Highlanders game as opposed to the Chiefs giving away one of their home games.
Yep. The other option is the Crusaders, interestingly enough, have 2 games at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which seems strange to me. That they don't normally do that. Now, one of those is against the Brumbies, so they're unlikely to take that one overseas. I wouldn't have thought they'd normally take derbies overseas. I'm trying to find where the other one was now. The Crusaders Chiefs on the 9th of March is a 5:15 game.
More.
So that one might be at the Crusaders. Might be the one they take overseas.
Yep. As long as we don't take the Blues to Samoa again and charge them like one month's salary for the ticket prices.
Yeah. This is crazy. Let's not go there. We know how good the administration there is.
Yeah.
I can't. I've not spotted a Blues. I've not spotted a Blues Family Day, which is unusual. The Blues normally have one game in the afternoon where they call it their sort of family day, but I can't spot where that game is.
But they'll still have 2 long weekends, and they'll have games at home on the long weekends when everybody in Auckland leaves. So that's, go there.
Yeah. Blues cannot do any family shows anymore because their shows are rated R anymore. It's such a horror.
It's not a family show. It's not a family show.
That's for angry grown-up men. That's for what we
Hey, look, moving right along, and before we run out of too much time, which we're pretty much out of time anyway, but we'll try and squeeze this one in.
No. We can skip the last question.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Well, because it is a good question, we do want to spend good time on it, so we won't squeeze it. We'll save it. It's a good question. It's a good question.
Oh,
so we'll go on to our predictions. We'll go on it because we've got to squeeze in our predictions, don't we? So who's playing this weekend anyway?
Which game are you looking forward to this weekend?
Yeah, let's see. Well,
I'm going to throw a strange one out there. USA v Scotland.
Oof.
USA have just gone and beaten Russia handily. All their players are in Major League Rugby, so they've actually been got proper strength and conditioning for the past 3-4 months. On the whole,
combinations.
Pardon?
They got combinations.
Combinations as well. So
yeah.
USA Scotland could be interesting because again, Scotland are far from their first choice side. Scotland did put away Canada comfortably last weekend, so I'm still expecting Scotland to win. But this is, I know a lot of people in the USA are saying this is their best chance in a long time to get that coveted Tier 1 scalp that they really are aiming for.
Yep.
Good call,
Paul. What about you, German? What are you looking forward to, mate?
I guess, the most intriguing one is South Africa, England again, because it seems like a little bit like last chance saloon for England and the Jones now. There were signs, but I don't think it's beyond them to turn it around, but another loss, I don't think Eddie Jones can come back from that. So that's what I'm going to do.
3-point loss, of course they can come back from that.
Yeah, but you know what? But I defended that too, Paul. But you know how it works back in your home.
Oh, the press are crazy.
Yeah, but they affect things. And if you lose another one with the lost series and so on, after some like pretty weird selections too, and the change taking Ezekiel out and putting Shields in a lock and so on, like made very little sense, and we'll see how. And as everyone we talked about yesterday with Mike Brown on the wing too, Ed is in trouble. Ed is in serious trouble, I think. I mean, it doesn't matter that it was in parts a good England performance, because if they don't get the win now, they need a result now. He's going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, I think you're right, Paul, in the fact that there's only 3 points on the previous game, but there's a lot of pressure mounting, and I think if England goes down this weekend, then that's just going to carry on mounting. But just in that game, what do you think? Do you think we'll see Shields over Robshaw on the side of the scrum?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
I do.
But I don't think we'll see, and we'll also probably see, if he's fit, obviously we'll see, I've gone blank, back at lock.
Launchbury
back at lock as well, yep. Other than that, I don't think we'll see many other changes.
Maybe Losowski have a chance to play instead of Slade at 13. That's also a possible change, but Slade did for Ridish. But I'm also with Ben Youngs. I mean, but all fly halves look good when we have a little bit of a time and so on. You know, he looked magic, but when England doesn't have front football, he looked terrible actually. And that's pretty much a channel all the teams that playing England choose to run the ball in, and they get. You
mean George Ford?
Ford.
Yeah, not Ben Youngs. Yeah. No, George Ford is definitely a front foot fly half. He doesn't. Yeah, he's not your controlling. He's not your general who saves you. He doesn't like that. He doesn't like being under pressure, which is one of the reasons that they've taken the kicking off him and have Farrell at 12 is to take that pressure off him and let him try and be creative. But you're right. He does need front football.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure South Africa are going to give him that. I mean, in parts, yes. But I expect South Africa to be a little bit stronger too this weekend, because they are very much work in progress.
Yep. Yeah, I think again we talked about that last night, and the South Africans getting confidence out of that. Yes, I'm sort of looking forward to seeing how the All Blacks get away with murder in Test number 2.
Hey, look, they've got record. Look what happened in Ireland the other year. Sam Kane went headhunting there as well, didn't he? He's got form.
He's got form. He's got form, as they say in the game. They got form.
A quick question in the chat there was, are the Pacific Islands playing? Yes, Fiji host Samoa and Tonga host... Fiji host...
Georgia this time, I think.
Fiji host Georgia and Tonga host Samoa.
It should be a good one.
Yep.
That could be a good one, yeah.
That should actually be a good one.
Yes.
Some people suggested actually that the All Blacks France game will be just too predictable and not going to bother watching. Well, that's your choice, not mine. I'll be watching it.
No, we'll still be parking up with a bowl of popcorn to watch that one this time.
Bowl of popcorn? Jeez, we'll be refilling the glass.
Oh, you'll have a glass and popcorn.
No, there is a huge clash on the TV on Saturday afternoon also, because when Wallabies play Ireland at the same time, the Socceroos plays France in the World Cup in soccer. I mean, I wonder what the Australian audience is going to choose. Yeah.
That is the worst scheduling. Oh no, it could be worse. Yeah. They could put the game up against an Origins game, which would be even worse, because no one would then watch the Wallabies game. But that's very bad.
That's a shocking scheduling. Actually, It's absolutely shocking. You can't. I mean, especially the first game when people still are hoping a little bit. You know, we think the soccer.
Well, I guess they'll have 3 people watching. Oh no, actually, Herman, what do you be watching?
No, I'm definitely gonna watch the games from the islands in the morning, and then I'm gonna watch Japan, Italy, and I'm gonna watch All Black France. But in my secret life, when I don't watch rugby, I'm working a little bit as a soccer journalist. So I am I'm gonna go at least watch on 2 screens at the same time, because I'm gonna be quite busy with the World Cup in soccer too. But the less we talk about that, the better.
So yeah, no, I won't. I won't be actually watching the Australia Ireland game. I'll be in bed. I've got family down at the weekend, so the only game I'll be watching live will be the All Blacks France, and the rest I'll have to catch up on later, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to catch up on Sunday morning too, watching most games on Sunday morning. But I'm going to watch a lot of sport this weekend. My God.
It's not just this weekend, though, is it? It's the next 3 or 4 weeks.
No, but this is going to be extreme because usually it's going to be like 7, 8 rugby games, but I'm going to top it up with 6, 7 football games too, which is going to be. I have absolutely no plans with no friends who has to do anything.
By the time we do get Herman's presence back and Hash Rugby chat, All Blacks show, prediction shows, he'll have square eyes for sure.
And his brain will be dribbling out of his ears, having to try. Christian asks, is Japan playing this weekend? Yes, they're playing Italy again.
Yeah. And the one who asking that, go to Eurosport's Italian site, where you can watch the game for free if you're streaming, if you're outside Europe, which I think most of our viewers are. That's what I watched the first game. High D quality. Italian commentators, but they were actually pretty funny to listen to. Damn, very enthusiastic, you know. And we're telling each other jokes like non-stop during the game. We're telling each other jokes non-stop during the game. I know like a tiny bit of Spanish, you know, so, but it was like, you kind of gets a feeling, but that's not like proper, like clean jokes, you know. It's like a little bit, oh, look at that guy. He's big. Maybe not big only there, big bear too. He's like that kind of joke.
Oh, dearie me. The alternative commentary. And actually, that is something that, for just as a little teaser, I am looking at trying to maybe do an alternative commentary to one of the games coming up. So maybe you'll see that on YouTube. Cool. Shall we wrap it up there then? Arshin, why don't you let people know? Actually, before we wrap it up, everybody hit that like button, and if you're new on the channel, do subscribe, obviously. And comments down below, much appreciated. Always up for a rugby chat, and a timeout from Arshin. Go on, Arshin.
Where's your advertising thingy? You know, your product placement.
Yeah,
your product placement.
All right, here we go. Next one against the throw for the All Blacks.
There we go. And if you want to get yourself a Bottlepop, it opens your bottles of beer and gives you a little sound clip. Do click the link below. I'll do a little video tomorrow night and show people how it works.
Awesome.
But that's what's his name, like Grant Amstead, the famous New Zealand commentator. That's his voice, isn't it?
That's right. Yep, they're all the famous ones.
He did his 300 test game commentating this weekend.
Wow.
That was his first. But I probably have done 300 test games too in front of a television. I get actually done a lot more than 300 test games when I'm thinking. How many tests have you done, Paul?
I have no idea. But I haven't had to pay attention the whole time and actually talk about them, though. That's it. Yeah, Brian Moore says that commentating and watching for enjoyment are two very different things.
My favorite comment from Grant Anthony is that they won't catch him. When someone is
they won't catch him. Shut the gate.
He's gone.
He's gone. Numbers out.
Oh dear, no, not numbers, not again. That's Australian commentators. That's one of their the worst commentators on the planet are Australian commentators. Full stop. Yeah. Sorry,
Rob Hayford, number one. That's not a yellow card. It's a contact sport. I can like it.
Please, can we send him off and make him actually go on a referee's course and actually go and referee some games and learn how the game's really played and what the rules really are?
Sorry, I know we're going to wrap up, but I read like most amazing thing what they do in France for punishment with when we do citing of players. They give the players an option that they can actually get half the citing time if we agree to go and do some rugby refereeing. Which I think isn't that brilliant?
It's like so he says I've forgotten the term now. Not probation. Yeah, when they get the go pick up rubbish in the streets. Wear your orange suit and pick up rubbish in the street.
Yeah. Like doing like the
community service.
Community service. Yeah. Because I think that probably should be the same thing for fans too. Because anyone who tried to referee any sport have like a tons more understanding for being a referee, how hard it is.
No, yes, that's true. Ashwin? He's been doing it all day, ref. That's 2 minutes into the game.
Exactly, that's the favourite thing. That's the cliche you love to throw in there. It's been 30 seconds. He's been doing it all day, ref. You get good laughs with that one. You always get good laughs with that one. You got to throw it in. The earlier you throw it in, the more laughs you get.
I give you a new one. Like when you Shorb is quiet in the stadium match, and you know the referee gonna hear you, and you're gonna ask him like, "So how much money you got in the game, ref?"
No.
No. I promise you.
That's just football.
Have you got the gold watch? I mean, after the game.
Yeah, that's during the game, you know, like.
Oh no, that one goes back to 95 World Cup when Derek Bevan got a gold watch from Louis Late. The World Cup final.
Oh dear.
The referee got a they bought both referee and food poison. Damn, yeah.
Susie probably got watch as well.
You've got to cover all your bases.
I always love, but what I love the most is the conspiracy about the food poison. The All Blacks still played 120 minutes and were with inches of winning it, you know. But still, they got poisoned. That's why we lost the game. Like, okay, you were food, and we're telling like we were like Saving Private Ryan, like trench warfare in the hotel. But we still managed to play 120 minutes of pretty good rugby, you know. Like, but yeah, okay. I would love sometimes someone.
Sorry, I like this one from Andre. Open your eyes, ref. You're missing a good game.
Yes, that's good. I'll have to remember that and put it in the memory bank.
Oh dear.
All right. We're done, eh?
We've done this time.
Yeah, like 10 minutes, like.
I'll put the invoice up over time.
This is like, you know, other shows. We do the show in 1 hour, then we do like a flimsy half hour after our show, just so people know that the standards will go down. So maybe that's an advice we should take for next time. We do 1 hour serious, and then we do a half hour, we just say whatever we want, you know. So we don't mix the two things up, you know.
Well, they normally have like like 2 hours worth of recording for half an hour of show, and they do editing and things. This is unedited. This is all straight out. One take wonders. That's what we are. Oh dear. Anyway, comments down below in the chat, please. We do really enjoy those, and it also helps YouTube realise that actually it's a good video and it should show lots of people it. So it's always good to do that kind of thing. And don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell as well, if you know what that means, and become part of my notifications team. That's apparently a social media term. I don't know really what it means. Cool. All right. You know how to get hold of Ashwin. It's NZ Fatso. He'll talk politics to you. You know how to get hold of Herman. You have to talk to me because he doesn't do social media. And catch you all tomorrow night at the same time for the. I've gone blank. What are we doing tomorrow night? Oh yeah, the All Blacks edition.
All Blacks show.